Hello and welcome to the West Asia Post. I'm your host, Radi Francis, coming to you from Beirut, Lebanon, for a new episode of WION's weekly show, where we bring you all things new from the world's most volatile region. This week, we have a lot lined up for you in the West Asia Post. From Turkey rearming and prepping itself for possible confrontation with Israel, to Saudi Arabia reshuffling all the geopolitical power that it has. And of course, to Iran playing diplomacy on one hand and rearming and reconstructing its missile on the other. We have a lot lined up. Stay tuned. As Iran is more and more empowered on the diplomatic side, one thing is not up for negotiations. It's missiles. Tehran has made that clear. The missiles are not up for negotiations. They have become a battlefield reality. The next report brings you more.
Iran endured the full force of strikes from two of the world's most powerful militaries. Yet, under relentless Israeli and American bombardment, Iranian forces retaliated with a barrage of their own. Its missiles challenged existing assumptions, reshaped the battlefield, and signaled that Tehran's arsenal could strike farther, faster, and harder than many expected. Iran has developed a wide range of ballistic missiles with different capabilities. Some of its missiles are designed for long-range strikes, with reported ranges stretching thousands of kilometers, allowing them to reach targets across the Gulf and beyond. The strikes caused damage at some military locations, including Israeli and US bases, highlighting the pressure faced by even advanced defense systems. Now the battlefield has moved to diplomacy. Tehran asserts its missiles are not part of any discussions.
The issue of our missiles does not exist in the memorandum we had, and it never will. If we did not have our missiles, which were for our self-defense, Israel and America would have attacked Iran like they did Gaza, showing no mercy to anyone, young or old.
Gulf nations warn that Iran's proxy forces, missiles and drones must be dealt with for the region to have lasting peace. America's top diplomat on a mission to assure its Gulf allies also agrees and asserts that Iranian missiles are a grave threat to not only the region, but even for the Europeans.
We've always made the point that Iran poses an even graver threat to Europe than it does to the United States. Iran already possesses missiles that can reach parts of Europe, which is part of the president's frustration.
But the US president standing on European soil backed Iran's missile power.
No, I'm saying that if other countries have them, it's a little bit unfair for them not to have some. A ballistic missile is not the same thing as what we're talking about when we talk nuclear. But if Saudi Arabia and Qatar, and they all have some, I would say in relative proportion, I think it's okay. That's what I mean.
On the other hand, Tehran is refusing to step back. Iran insists that its missiles are essential for deterrence, especially because it views hostile military presence around its borders as a security threat. That argument has become part of Tehran's wider message. If others have strategic weapons, Iran says it must maintain its own defense capability. The question now is whether diplomacy can overcome the biggest disagreement. For Iran, missiles represent survival. For its opponents, they represent a growing danger. The war may have paused, but the missile race is far from over. While international focus remains fixated on the complicated logistics of nuclear non-proliferation, Tehran is quietly separating the two issues. By locking its conventional arsenal out of the treaty, Iran ensures that even if the war has paused, its lethal deterrent strategy remains fully intact.
Iran, otherwise known as the Islamic Republic of Iran, has now emerged as a powerful player, a powerful diplomatic player globally. Anything in West Asia, any table about negotiations, Iran is a part of it, from Lebanon to the Strait of Hormuz. Take a look.
Lebanon is bruised and battered. Over 4,000 people killed, over 1,200 injured, about 100,000 homes destroyed, more than 1 million people displaced. Lebanon is rapidly becoming a testing ground for a new West Asian order. More importantly, it gives Iran an official role in shaping security arrangements in a country where it once operated mainly through Hezbollah. At the heart of this shift is a proposed deconfliction cell for Lebanon. The mechanism is designed to prevent escalation along the Israel-Lebanon front. Iranian leaders have been pushing for de-escalation in Lebanon since the peace talks resumed.
Well, the commitments are very clear. Clause 1 of the Memorandum of Understanding is the most important part of the parties' mutual commitments, namely ending the war on all fronts, including in Lebanon. We have adhered to our commitments. The other side was obliged to compel those under its influence, specifically the Zionist regime, to cease fire in Lebanon.
For Tehran, this represents a major strategic transformation. From sponsor of the so-called Axis of Resistance, Iran is now trying to present itself as a stakeholder in regional stability.
We will, God willing, bring these talks to a successful conclusion by securing Lebanon's territorial integrity and national sovereignty over all of its territory. And we will not stop pursuing it until a final outcome is achieved.
And the shift does not end in Lebanon. Even as Washington and Tehran continue to implement their peace agreement, a parallel diplomatic track is taking shape in the Gulf. Qatari Prime Minister Sheikh Mohammed bin Abdul Rahman Al Thani arrived in Oman for talks on a possible regional negotiation process involving Iran, Iraq and Gulf Arab states over the future management of the Strait of Hormuz. The Strait of Hormuz carries nearly 1/5 of the world's oil and LNG trade, and after months of conflict-related disruptions, regional powers are now discussing how shipping, navigation services and security arrangements in the waterway should be managed. The talks are separate from the US-Iran peace process, but they reflect the same reality. Iran is no longer being treated only as a security challenge. It is increasingly being treated as a negotiating partner. The region is moving from an era of open confrontation to one of complex bargaining. Countries that once chose sides are now seeking roles as mediators, guarantors and power brokers. Qatar is talking to Oman, Oman is talking to Iran. Gulf states are preparing for direct discussions, and even Syria is signaling that it wants to act as a mediator rather than a combatant. Whether these initiatives produce lasting stability remains uncertain, but one thing is already evident. After years of sanctions, isolation and war, Iran has found a new route back to the center of West Asian politics.
Syria has made it clear it will not be dragged into the confrontation between Hezbollah and Israel. Ahmad al-Shara, the Syrian president, has pushed against US President Donald Trump's remarks after he said that Syria would be a part of that conflict. Take a look.
Lebanon is emerging as the main point of contention in West Asia. Iran has drawn a red line over the country. In a fresh warning, Iranian Revolutionary Guards says that Israel must withdraw on its own from Lebanon's entire territory or be forced to flee in defeat. US President Donald Trump has tried to insert a new player in the Iran-Israel-Lebanon standoff, Syria. Trump, in an interview with Fox News, said he was close to giving the Hezbollah matter over to Syria after expressing disappointment with Israel's campaign against the group. The US president said Israel had failed to finish the fight quickly, adding that too many buildings in Lebanon were being destroyed in the process.
Israel's fighting Hezbollah too long and too many people are being killed. And you don't have to knock down an apartment house every time you're looking for somebody, because there are a lot of people in those apartment houses, and they're not all Hezbollah, that I can tell you. And I suggested to Israel to let Syria take care of Hezbollah. Because to be honest with you, I think they do a better job of doing it.
But Syrian President Ahmed al-Shara swiftly rejected any suggestion that Damascus would enter the war. Syria has distanced itself from any military involvement in the Israel-Hezbollah conflict in a rare public rebuke of US President Donald Trump. Shara said the Lebanon crisis cannot be resolved through military action or the bombing of cities, insisting that Syria's priority is to support a political solution rather than open a new front. He also said Trump's remarks had been misunderstood, stressing that the US president was speaking about Syria's role in promoting a peaceful settlement, not about sending Syrian forces into Lebanon. The Syrian leader said Damascus is focused on restoring economic ties with Lebanon, strengthening Lebanese state institutions, and finding what he called creative solutions to end the crisis. In a notable remark, Shara also left the door open to political dialogue with Hezbollah, saying he would be prepared to sit down with the group if it served both Lebanese and Syrian interests. Trump and Vice President J.D. Vance have repeatedly criticized Israel's conduct in Lebanon, warning that the prolonged offensive risks undermining the broader diplomatic effort with Iran. Lebanon and Israel are now discussing a US-backed proposal for Israeli forces to transfer some of the Lebanese territory invaded in their war with Hezbollah to Lebanon's military. Officials say this is in a possible step towards restoring Lebanese control of occupied territory. The proposed pilot project is part of the latest round of Israeli-Lebanese talks in Washington. With Washington trying to keep the Iran diplomatic track alive, Damascus has now made its position clear. Syria wants to play the role of a diplomatic stakeholder, not a new participant in the region's wars.
Turkey. Is it preparing itself and rearming itself for confrontation with Israel? Now, this is the question that has been raised in the past few weeks. Analysis says that Recep Tayyip Erdogan's government might be really preparing for something like that. Take a look.
A new analysis has sparked debate over the direction of Turkey's security strategy and its rapidly deteriorating relationship with Israel. The analysis by an exiled Turkish journalist, Abdullah Bozkurt, argues that a series of government decisions taken over the past few years suggest Ankara is quietly preparing for a potential major conflict. At the center of the claim is a presidential regulation introduced in May 2024. The measure significantly expands the government's authority to mobilize civilian resources, private industry, transport networks, and specialized personnel during national emergencies. The new rules could allow Türkiye to shift rapidly into a crisis or wartime footing even without a formal declaration of war. The hints from Turkey's leadership are quite clear. Earlier this month, Turkish President Recep Tayyip Erdogan said that Israel's strikes in Syria and Lebanon have reached a point where they also threaten Turkey. He added that Israeli aggression poses a threat to the whole world and must be stopped.
Kardeşlerimize yönelik
We will not turn a blind eye to any attack against our brothers. Now these people and their triggermen are going around making so-called threats targeting Turkey. There is no need for you to say this. We already know your intention, your purpose, and your target very well. We see very clearly what you are pursuing. We are fully aware of what the ultimate goal of the delusion of the Promised Land is. God willing, we will never allow this.
hedefinizi zaten çok iyi biliyoruz.
The analysis further claims that Turkey's growing ties with Hamas, combined with its increasingly confrontational stance towards Israel, reflect a broader strategic shift. If a direct military confrontation were ever to take place, the report suggests Syria would be the most likely flashpoint, where Turkish and Israeli interests already intersect. Experts warn that the analysis, when viewed against the backdrop of rising tensions, the developments could signal a more troubling trend. The trend was on full display in Moscow last week. Turkish Foreign Minister Hakan Fidan accused Israel of destabilizing the region and said a global consensus was emerging against its policies.
What Israel is doing in Lebanon is an occupation. However, the ongoing negotiations between Iran and the United States seem to have overshadowed it. Israel is trying to use this opportunity to create a fait accompli. This must not be allowed. We will do everything in our power to prevent that.
As rhetoric hardens, regional rivalries deepen, and Ankara continues to expand its strategic options, questions about Turkey's long-term intentions are growing louder.
Saudi Arabia has made its biggest geopolitical choice in the past years after decades of relying solely on Washington's friendship. It looks like the Kingdom of Saudi Arabia is now looking east. A series of meetings and projects in the future with China. Take a look.
On February 14, 1945, US President Franklin D. Roosevelt and Saudi King Abdulaziz Al Saud met and signed the Oil for Security Pact. This is how long the partnership of US and Saudi traces back. For more than 7 decades, the US-Saudi partnership rested on a simple bargain. Washington would guarantee the security of the Saudi kingdom, and in return, Riyadh would remain a reliable supplier of oil to the United States. But that relationship has been under pressure for years. The 2014 to 2016 oil price war shook OPEC economies, forcing Saudi Arabia to look for new strategic partners. That opened the door for China, which quickly expanded its economic, energy and investment ties with the kingdom. Beijing backed major Saudi projects, signed multi-billion-dollar energy deals, and positioned itself as a long-term economic partner. Even when Saudi Aramco's ambitious IPO struggled to attract global investors, China offered to buy the entire 5% stake on offer, a gesture that left a lasting impression in Riyadh. In recent years, China has become Saudi Arabia's largest oil customer, while cooperation has expanded into petrochemicals, infrastructure, technology and investment. But the latest turning point may have come after the recent Iran conflict. Despite billions of dollars spent on US-supplied defense systems, Iranian strikes were able to hit key Saudi energy facilities. It has raised serious questions inside the kingdom about the reliability of America's security umbrella, with Washington also pursuing a new understanding with Tehran. Saudi leadership appears increasingly concerned about its long-term security position. That shift has been followed by a new round of high-level engagements with China. Just days ago, Chinese and Saudi officials met to discuss expanding oil, gas and energy cooperation, while emphasizing long-term energy security between the two countries. Saudi Arabia is not necessarily walking away from the United States, but it is clearly building a future in which China plays an even bigger strategic role.
That's all we have for you on this episode of the West Asia Post. I will see you next week with a brand new lineup, always bringing you the most recent updates, news, and ground reports from West Asia. I'm your host, Radi Francis, signing off from Beirut, Lebanon. For more global news, keep on watching WION World is One.